My argument is we live, again, we're talking about great powers, in a state of constant security competition. Great powers always engage in security competition. Sometimes it's more intense and sometimes it's less intense, but they always engage in security competition. And sitting in the background is the possibility of war. The United States and the Soviet Union competed constantly for security during the Cold War, and there was the ever-present danger of war sitting in the background. Furthermore, there is no question that war is an absolutely destructive and dangerous enterprise. Its horribleness is in good part what makes it so important. So I want to make it clear here, I'm not saying that this is a sport. This is like playing a football game. This is like playing the Super Bowl. This is a completely different kind of phenomenon, incredibly destructive, incredibly horrible. And furthermore, it's not only the fact that lots of damage, lots of destruction is inflicted on you in a war, or can be inflicted on you in a war, it's also the fact that the survival of the state is at risk. You never want to underestimate the importance of that dimension of the story. Survival really matters. But given how destructive war is, and given the fact that it threatens the survival of states, unsurprisingly, states have gone to great lengths over time to do away with war, to outlaw war, to figure a way to get rid of it. But you know what? They failed at every turn. They never got rid of it. And they're never going to get rid of it. It's going to be there forever. Right? So the question is, why is this the case? You want to think about this. Why haven't we been able to get rid of war? And I'm going to make two arguments. The first one, it has to do with the nature of politics. And the second is it has to do with the architecture of the system. This is the anarchic nature of international politics. So it's a two-part argument. This is why you can't get rid of war, why it's an ever-present possibility that sometimes manifests itself in actual fighting. There are two reasons. The first has to do with the nature of politics. And this is what I was imploring you to think about today and think about in the years ahead. Just what politics is all about. Politics, as Barack Obama, right, and Bill Clinton said, is a contact sport. It's a nasty business. Politics is all about fundamental disagreements on first principles, fundamental differences about questions regarding the good life. And these fundamental differences that individuals or societies or states have are sometimes so profound that people want to kill each other. Just go back to the religious wars in Europe way back when. Catholics and Protestants killing each other in huge numbers. Right? Just mattered so much to them. The abortion issue, an incredibly complicated issue. There are lots of people running around in the land who believe in or don't believe in abortion who would like to kill some people on the other side. It's a contact sport, right? These differences really matter. Look at the fights over Supreme Court appointments. Look at how all of these anti-Trump people feel about the possibility of him getting reelected. My wife was basically a Republican. You mentioned the possibility of Trump winning, and she gets mad at me. I said, what are you getting mad at me? I didn't vote for him last time. I'm not going to vote for him this time. She's just so infuriated at the thought of this guy getting reelected, right? And by the way, there are lots of people on the other side. You get my brothers talking about Hillary Clinton. Oh boy, right? I'm just saying, what you have to understand, the intensity and the enmity that comes with politics is not to be underestimated, which is why Clinton and Obama both said it's a contact sport. And I have a similar quote from Newt Gingrich in there, which makes the basic point. That's why to make politics work, you have to have compromises. You want to understand that there are no solutions to lots of disagreements about first principles, right? There's just no solutions. There are always these intense disagreements, and the question is, how do you deal with them? Inside a state, inside the United States of America, inside Japan, inside France, you deal with it by creating a state. And that state protects people. It allows them to disagree, but it protects person A from an attack from person B, and vice versa, right? So you have a state. But this gets to my point about the architecture. In the international system, there's no higher authority. There's no higher authority to protect these states, which sometimes have fundamental disagreements.
Let's create higher authority. Actually, we are doing it right now with development of artificial intelligence. If we aren't intelligent enough to apply that solution, it will.
So, what this says is you can't take war off the table. You understand? You can't take war off the table.
Yes, you can. If war is between two countries, one loses the war, and the war is at the table. So the war would not start with just one state. Therefore, to get rid of war between countries, get rid of countries.
Table. Remember I said politics is all about the fact that you have fundamental disagreements between individuals, between societies, between groups in society, between states. You have fundamental disagreements. And those disagreements are sometimes so profound that A wants to attack B and kill it, right? You can't take war off the table.
Yes, you can. If war is between two countries, one loses the war, and the war is at the table. So the war would not start with just one state. Therefore, to get rid of war between countries, get rid of countries.
Because there is no higher authority. Inside the state, you can take murder off the table. You can take killing off the table in large part. Certainly in those areas where the higher authority has presence. But you can't do that in international politics.
Let's create higher authority. Actually, we are doing it right now with development of artificial intelligence. If we aren't intelligent enough to apply that solution, it will.
Add to that the destructiveness of war and the fact that your very survival might be threatened, right? You can see where that leads you, right? Politics, right, is naturally an unremittingly competitive and intense enterprise.
In ancient Greece, politics was considered duty of every citizen. That is where word republic comes from, republicum, public matter.
It's unremittingly competitive and intense. And that's inside the black box. That's inside the state. And then you take it out into the international system where there's no higher authority, and that competitiveness, that intensity is ramped up even more.
And those citizens not interested in public matters, politics, we're called idiots.
Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe.